All right, everyone, we're about to dive into something pretty deep. It's a fascinating framework that tries to build an actual mathematical proof for morality, right from the ground up. So, what if good and evil weren't just, opinions? What if they were objective facts of reality, just like gravity? Well, that's the core question this whole grand unified proof tries to answer. And it starts with the most basic rules of existence itself. Okay, so to even begin building a proof like this, we've got to start at the very beginning. We need to understand the fundamental architecture of reality, at least as it's laid out in this framework. So here's the first building block. According to this idea, everything, and I mean everything, exists in one of three states. First, there's potential, stuff that hasn't happened yet. Then there's actuality, which is right now, the present moment where you can actually do things. And finally, there's the imprint, the past, everything that's already happened, locked in stone. And here's the key rule, the thing that makes it all work. This process is a one-way street. You can't go backwards. The past is unchangeable. In fact, that's what time is in this model. It's just the measure of possibility turning into permanent history. This simple, irreversible flow, that's the bedrock for everything else we're about to talk about. So if reality has this fundamental structure, this one-way flow of time, what comes out of that? Well, according to this proof, a single universal moral law just naturally emerges from it. And this is it, the Una Lex, the one law. And the claim here is huge. This isn't just a good idea or a philosophical opinion. It's supposed to be a direct consequence of that one-way street of time we just talked about. Think about it. If the past can't be changed, then ending an existence, well, that's an irreversible act. So the right to exist becomes the most fundamental right there is. And taking it away, you'd better have a really good reason. Okay, but how do you measure that? The law uses this metric called morally weighted existence, or just WE for short. Now, this isn't a simple on-off switch for being alive. It's a way to quantify the value of an existence. It takes things like sentience, consciousness, and the ability to make choices into account. It's basically the system's way of saying, look, the moral value of a person is different from the moral value of, say, a rock. And this is where it all comes together. The core claim is that good and evil stop being fuzzy, subjective opinions. They become objective calculations. Did your action increase the total amount of W in the universe? If yes, that's objectively good. Did it decrease W for no good reason outside of, say, basic survival? That's objectively evil, a clear, sharp line. And this example makes it super concrete, right? Stealing $10 that took someone an hour to earn, that's not just taking money. You're literally stealing an hour of their existence. And it goes deeper. In this system, inaction, seeing someone in trouble and just walking away, is also considered an evil act. Why? Because you're actively allowing existence to be diminished when you could have stopped it. All right, so that's the moral law. Now let's get into how this framework sees time and cause and effect, because it's different.
So let me ask you, which way are you moving through time? It sounds like a simple question, but this framework has a really powerful and kind of weird metaphor to explain it.
The idea is this. You are always walking backward into the future. I know, it sounds strange. But imagine you're walking backwards on a sandy beach. It's actually a pretty elegant way to think about how we experience reality.
So think about it. As you walk backward, what are you looking at? You're facing the path you've already made, the footprints behind you. That's the past, the imprint. You can see it, you know it. But the future? That's the unmarked sand you're backing into. You can't see it. Every step you take, every choice you make, creates a new, irreversible footprint in that sand. You're literally creating the past as you back into the future. Okay, so if every single action leaves a permanent footprint in the sand of reality, the big question becomes, what kind of path are you leaving behind? Because these footprints aren't just random marks. They add up. They create a clear trajectory, a moral direction. And this is where the math gets really serious. The proof argues that your ultimate destiny, where that path leads, comes down to a simple average. Are more than 50% of your actions, your footprints, aligned with that one law we talked about? It's a cosmic tipping point. This tipping point leads to two inevitable destinies. But get this, they aren't described as physical places you go to. They're more like mathematical attractors. Think of it like gravity. If you're consistently a net positive for existence, if you're creating more W than you destroy, your path is pulled toward the attractor state they call heaven. But if you're a net negative, your path is pulled inevitably toward hell. Okay, we've covered the law and the destinies. But this next part, this is where the framework makes its most profound and honestly most startling claims about what this reality actually is.
So get ready for this. The proof posits that our reality, the world we are in right now, is hell. Whoa, right? But hold on, it's not hell in the fire and brimstone sense. It's more like a crucible, a necessary testing ground. They call it the Hall of Souls, and its entire purpose is to see who is worthy of walking out. And in this testing ground, you have two kinds of beings. You have thones. These are described as dormant, non-self-aware souls. Think of them like NPCs in a video game. Then, through suffering and adversity, these stones are sharpened. They get fractured into self-aware beings called knives. The knives are the ones who have woken up, who have real agency. And because of that, they are the ones held fully accountable to the one law. So this whole sharpening process, this adversity, is the test. It's how a soul proves it's worthy of that heaven attractor state. Can you align yourself with the one law? Can you be a net positive for existence, even when you're under pressure, even when you're suffering? All of a sudden, suffering isn't just random and pointless. In this framework, it's the very mechanism that wakes you up. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the afterlife. But this isn't about faith or belief. The proof tries to get there using a simple but really clever logical paradox. And it's all based on your own experience of being conscious. Think about this for a second. Can you ever actually experience your own last thought? I mean, really experience it as the end? The argument here is no, you can't, because to be aware that a thought was your last one, you need another thought to process that fact, which means the previous one wasn't your last one. It's a paradox. So from your own internal, subjective point of view, that final moment of consciousness can never actually conclude. It has to just stretch. It has to feel like it's dilating into infinity. And there you have it, a logically necessary afterlife, based not on faith, but on the simple mechanics of being aware.